Good morning, and welcome back to the Willow Rose Cottage. I'm so happy I'm here. I'm happy you're here. I'm happy I didn't let my big, huge emotions overtake me for too long. I sort of had a meltdown, and looking back, it might have been a little bit of an overreaction. I did lose 8 subs. And I got some pretty some pretty nasty comments. But you know what? That's life. That's life. You put yourself out there in the world and that's gonna happen. And I gotta get my skin a little tougher. One of the things I've realized, and I kind of said this in one of the videos that I was a response. It was only up for like maybe a half an hour and I took it down because it was really cringy because I was crying and whatever. And in that video, I was kind of like, oh, you don't even know how hard I fought off depression and anxiety, and I've lost so many people in the last 5 years. And all that is true. I have. However, one of the things that I did realize in the aftermath of all of this is how much I've been protected through my life. And the people that know me, that grew up around me and with me, and the friends that I'm still friends with from like high school that knew my family, always told me then and still tell me now that I lived a charmed life. Like you, and when people would say that to me, are you're so lucky you have such a charmed life, and I would think in my mind, my life isn't charmed. It's just my life, right? Like everybody else's life. And I guess that was a really, really naive. That was a really naive view of my life. I'm looking back, and when my papa was alive, I call my dad Papa. When my papa was alive, he was really big. He was like 6'2". He's a big guy, and he was native. Even though he was just as gentle as a dove, he did have an imposing, threatening look. And so really, nobody really messed with me because of that. And then my brother, I had an older brother that was incredibly charming and everybody loved. So they loved him so much that I just kind of came along with the love of that. And then my mom, as I kind of alluded to in my morning reading this morning of my tarot cards, my mother was a very, very whimsical, eclectic, eccentric person, and she did not care what anybody thought about anything. And she was okay, I'm not going to censor myself. My mother was a witch, and she was a witch, I would say, by blood, because she didn't consider herself magical, which was really amazing because she just did what she did out of traditions. She came from Cornwall, which is a hugely magical area, and she didn't come from Cornwall. Her people came from Cornwall, but they passed down certain things, like you always light candles at dusk, and just so many things. I mean, so many things that she just did because that's what her people did, so that's what she was taught, so that's what she did, so that's what she taught me. And I remember when it really dawned on me that I was a witch. One of the things is that my mom always collected crystals, and she said they talked to her, and I'm not a crystal talker. I don't have that blessing. However, I did get most of her crystals when she passed. Little side note. However, yeah, my mom was like collecting crystals and finding crystals before it was even a thing. Like, it wasn't even a thing. And anyway, have a story about when we would go up into the mountains. We live in gold country, and gold gold is found in crystals, and so they had a gold mine, and so we would go up to the gold mine, and there was a huge cave, and it was a crystal cave, and we would go into the crystal cave, and we would get crystals, just pop them off the wall. And I have some of those crystals still. I have my very first crystal, which I dropped about 5 years ago and chipped it, which really broke my heart. However, I digress. From my original message was that, yeah, I get it. I'm starting to get it now that everybody that were my protectors are gone from my life. I'm not so protected. And I realized that when as I kind of alluded to in my tarot reading, was that when I was hurt at school, my feelings were hurt, and I would come home and I was crying, and my mom would just tell me, fuck them. Like, straight up, you don't need them. Like, why do you need them? Why do you need people that are going to be like that to you? Like, whatever. And the one thing I realized when I retreated and was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never, ever gonna do this again. I'm stopping my channel. That also comes from my childhood, because when I would come home and I was crying, my mother would allow me to stay home from school for as long as I needed to. And I've also told you my mother was an artist, and she always had all her easels up and all her paints out, and everything was all over the place. She was a fine artist. Like, she did artwork, paintings, oil paintings, but she also did all kinds of other stuff. She's an antique dealer. She redid furniture. Anyway, so she always had all these things going on all the time in my house that I grew up in. And so she would let me stay home and paint and play, and that's probably why I'm an artist as well. Play with tarot cards, play with their crystals, play with anything I wanted to play with. She would just let me stay home, and she would have tea parties. That's probably why I love tea parties so much. She would have little tea parties with all her little china, and she would set it all out. We would go outside. She was Cornish, and so she had an English garden in her front yard and in her backyard. But we would go out to the backyard, and we would sit in the garden, and we would pretend that we were in England and having a tea party. So those are the things that I did when people hurt my feelings. So I think without the people in my life that were so shielding of the world to me, I think I just really didn't know how to wrap my head around somebody coming at me. And I just maybe dealt with it a little bit dramatically. And I'm here again. I'm back. I don't want to stop having fun because people somewhere got angry at me because I asked a question about violence, and I just want that to go away. I want to put it behind me. I'm not going to discuss it. I did talk at one point about, probably one of my videos, probably about 2 months ago, about how, my channel isn't about how people, I'm going to put it here. If I can find the clip, I'll put it here, and that'll just kind of explain it. I have been watching a couple of YouTube channels that are kind of like mine a little bit, and I've realized I don't really have that much. I don't really have anything important to bring to you. Like, a lot of them they talk all about politics. I just don't want to bring all this kind of heaviness to my channels. I'm gonna just leave it as I am. So that's what I was kind of talking about, that I don't That's not what my channel's about. My channel's about fun and whimsy and joy and playing and trying to like look at the world through a lens of joy, and going back, harking back to the very beginning of why I started my channel. And I've said this so many times, you can stop here if you want, because, or skip forward, because I know you've heard it 1,000 times if you've watched my channel. However, my son, well, all three of my children, grew up with me going to my mother's house every single day. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. When I got married, I was a stay-at-home mom as well. And so I had, these children, and I would go to my mom's house every single day, and my children would play and do all the things and be rowdy and crazy. And my mother loved it. And it was just chaos, and it was fun for them. And my mom would bake with my kids. She wasn't a big cook, but she would bake, and they would paint, and my mom would read them books, and then my mom would read the book, and my kids would act out the story that my mom was reading. And I mean, my mom was just this amazingly wonderful person. And my children were in their life every single day, pretty much. And so I lived near my mom, and we would walk to my mom's house. It was 4 or 5 blocks. But anyway, so where I'm going with this is that my son, and I do have 3 children, but I talk about my son the most because he's the one that's the most active in the production and the continuation of this channel. And the reason is that his children, he's the only one that chose to have children. My daughter and my daughter's my oldest, and my other son is my youngest, and both of them and their partners made the decision not to have children. So my middle child, the son that I talk about a lot, shout out to Shawnee Darkheart. He's on TikTok if you want to watch Shawnee Darkheart on TikTok. So anyway, he's the one that chose to have children. He has 4 children, and they live far away, and he is really sad that his children are not going to be able to have the experience of being with a whimsical Uma like he had with my mom. And so he came up with this idea. We were talking one day, and we came up with this idea that I would use my YouTube channel to document my everyday life. So then his children will have at least a sense. They won't be here baking with me. They won't be here creating and redecorating and painting and weaving and spinning with me, but they'll have a sense of that, and they'll have a sense of who I am. So all of that to say, I don't want to take that away. And I thought about making my channel private. However, I did look into that, and it's a big deal. It's not a big deal. Nothing in life is a big deal, but you have to like do an email and give them the email and give them the link, and then they have to have the link, I think, for each video. It just was not going to work out. So I am here today. So I go into surgery tomorrow morning, first thing. And I will be out of commission. I'll be in bandages for 2 weeks, and then I will go get the bandages removed and be in a cast for 6 weeks. And then I will have very, very limited use of my arm and my hand and my wrist for 6 months. And so there's like really not a whole lot I'm going to be able to do. So today is going to be spent kind of doing all the things I think I might need to do. I tried to get my yards done, but I just didn't get them done. So be it. I tried to get my little fairy niche done as well outside, so I'd have a place to just go cuddle in and just kind of like get away from everything, but I didn't get it finished either. And now today's going to be spent doing all the mundane things like vacuuming, cleaning my kitchen floors, cleaning, doing all my laundry, changing my sheets, cleaning my bathroom, making sure all my towels are clean. I don't know. I have this huge list, a huge list. Yesterday I went and I bought, it was a little weird. I bought like maybe, I don't know, 20, 25, I didn't count them, frozen dinners, like little frozen meals, because it's something that I can do with one hand. I can open it up, put it in the microwave, take it out of the microwave, take the top off, and eat it with my left hand. So I bought a bunch of those. I bought some salads, some bagged salads. I bought a bunch of little tiny yogurts. And the other thing is I'm trying to keep down the consumption of dishes so that I don't, because I can't do dishes. Well, I guess I could with one hand. But anyway, you get it. You get it. There won't be any cooking. There won't be any baking. There won't be any driving. There won't be any dishes doing or laundry doing. My arm will be in a sling for probably about 4 days, and I have to sleep with my arm up above my head on, she said, 5 pillows. She gave me a number, 5 pillows. So that's the other thing. I'm getting all my stuff in my bedroom ready. I've picked up my meds. I have all of those by my bedside. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing today. I'm just getting ready. Oh, and I have little jammies. Actually yesterday was kind of like that kind of a prep day. I bought myself some cute nighties so that I'll feel all cutesy in my bed while I'm healing. And that's it. So I just wanted to tell you that I'm so grateful you're here. I'm grateful that I'm back. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot about myself and the world around me. I'm learning a lot about living solo without protection around me. And so it's a learning curve, and I just thank you so much for being tolerant with me and sticking it out with me. And I hope that in the future, as I grow and we grow together, that I can continue to keep the joy in my heart and the whimsy that my mother gave me and the love that I share for the world and everything around me and all the people around me. And I can continue to share that with you and hopefully bring you some joy and whimsy to your everyday life. And we're in it together. Unless you unsub, then I'm in it with other people. Stay tuned and stay whimsical.